Hi, this is David Lee Goodman. I'm a real estate investor, real estate agent, and a property manager in the Nashville area. And in this video, we're going to be showing you how to find non-owner occupied short-term rental properties on the MLS that will be eligible to use as Airbnb as a non-owner occupant. As an investor, investing in Airbnb listings and properties in the Nashville market isn't exactly the easiest thing to do, as growing concerns of how Airbnb and other short-term rental avenues are affecting Nashville neighborhoods. Local ordinances and restrictions continue to be developed, especially in Davidson County, restricting what can be used as a short-term rental and what cannot be used as a short-term rental. So the first thing we have to distinct is whether the short-term rental property that you want to use as a short-term rental investment is a non-owner occupied short-term rental or something that you're going to be living in. Now, if you're planning on living in a home and doing a house hack and renting out a space for Airbnb, and you, the homeowner, lives in that home as well, owner-occupied short-term rental is totally doable. There's not a lot of restrictions. You still have to go through the permitting process. That is not really a difficult thing to do in the Nashville market. You can get on Zillow, and in most areas without HOAs, you can use any of those homes to do Airbnb, just as long as you live in that property as well. So today we're actually going to be talking about non-owner occupied short-term rentals, or STRPs. These are the properties that need special distinction. In Nashville, when we first started getting Airbnb homes, pretty much it was the Wild West, and any home that you owned as an investment property, you could probably use as a short-term rental. Obviously, that comes with rewards and also comes with challenges, especially to locals, people who live in Nashville. Not everyone loved having bachelorette parties on every corner of their neighborhood in 12th South. That wasn't a great look. So, and the people that elect our officials in Nashville and who can make these restrictions, they're people who live here who don't necessarily need to own a bunch of Airbnb listings. So this is kind of the dynamic and why every single year we're starting to see more and more restrictions on what kinds of homes can be used as short-term rental versus what cannot be used. What we're basically seeing is that a property that's going to be used as Airbnb, it needs to be zoned commercially, right? And so when you're looking on the MLS, that may not be the easiest thing to find out which homes are being zoned commercially. That's you can't go on LoopNet or the MLS and look for commercial properties only. That's probably not the best way to find properties that are good to use as short-term rentals. There's other ways that we have to go about it, and I'm going to show you how I do it. But before we get into looking for short-term rentals, the question is, are short-term rental properties good investments for you as an investor to do in the Nashville market? I would say yes, it is. We're seeing that long-term investments tend to have a tougher time with cash flow. But short-term rentals, you actually can get close to the 1% rule and get more cash flow. Short-term rentals aren't necessarily passive income. You likely, if you're self-managing, you're going to have another job. But if you're willing to do it, you will see more cash flow in a short-term rental in Nashville than you will see in a long-term rental. The other part of that is short-term rental properties that are eligible for short-term rental are kind of like the creme de la creme. Not every property can be used as a short-term rental. So if you have a residential property that is zoned correctly, you've got something that 98% of residential properties are not able to do. So the highest and best use is probably to use it as short-term rental, but you also have the ability to rent it out, live in it. You just have more possibilities for this property. And since they are tougher to find, that property is more valuable. So I'm going to show you a few ways to find properties that more than likely are going to be eligible for short-term rental, but always verify that that is the case. And you can do that really easily by emailing strpquestions@nashville.gov, and if you just send them a question with the address of the home and ask, is this eligible for non-owner occupied short-term rental properties, they will give you an answer probably within 24 hours, which is kind of crazy. So that's a good job, Nashville, for answering your emails really quickly. So once you've established whether or not you want to get into short-term rental properties, if you're going to have a management company, or if you're going to self-manage, or if you're going to do it from out of state, the next step in the process is actually finding a property that is eligible for short-term rental. And here's some quick ways that I do it. So the first thing you can do is if you go to, and this is on my website, dlgoodmanproperties.com. If you search over to investor, you can click Airbnb listings, and I've created a search in the Nashville market that has a way of finding properties that more than likely, this isn't 100% true because there's not a really great way of finding residential properties that are zoned correctly that would be used for Airbnb. This is just a search that I created that pretty much has, I think, the best search for finding these eligible properties in Nashville. So you can go to dlgoodmanproperties.com, hover over investors, hit Airbnb listings, and this is a quick way to find listings like this on the website. And definitely work with a realtor who can verify this. But for the most part, what you'll see on this website are going to be properties that will pass, and you will be able to get a permit to use as a short-term rental. So if you're not in the Nashville market and you want to find a way, or if you just want to do your own searching, this is how I do it. I go to Zillow. I'm in my market. I go over to, again, I use remarks, I go to keywords, and these actually you can see a lot of the words that I use to find short-term rental. Folks that are listing these, because there's not a great way to find short-term rental eligible homes, we are putting what they are in the description, and we're using very specific terminology so that an experienced realtor or investor can find our listings very easily. Now, that's 75% of realtors or agents that are listing these properties. They know what these short-term terms are, and they are actively putting them in the public remarks. There's another 25% of realtors who don't know what they're doing and do not know what to put into their listing to find so that investors can find a short-term rental. So you want to find those, and you also want to weed out the agents that are calling their home, a property that is not zoned for commercial, but they're just saying that it can be used as an Airbnb. This would be a really cute Airbnb, and it's not zoned correctly, and it's just not a good property for that. It's just because the agent doesn't know what they're talking about and has never done Airbnb. So this is kind of how you do that. So let's go ahead and put in STRP, short-term rental property, and see what comes up. And that gives us 4 options. Okay, that's great. But we know that there's more on the market because the website just showed that there is, and we know that there's more possibilities. Now, any of these that have STRP in the description, you can bank on it being short-term rental property, and you can see right into the description, NOOSTRP, right? So this is someone who has, who's listed short-term rental properties in the past. They know what they need to put in here, and they're putting it right in the description. NOOSTRP, investment property, and then it sounds down here zoned OR20, which I don't know what that is. There's a lot of different commercial zoning, but if it says zoned whatever, pretty good possibility that they're telling you that the property is zoned in a way that it will be permitted to use it as an investment property for a short-term rental, right? And this particular one, I mean, it's just set up for a bachelorette party or some sort of vacation house, right? So that's great. But I don't think that's all of them. This is only showing you 4 options, and we want to find a lot more. You can put in NOO and see what happens. And that gives you a lot more options for whatever reason. NOO. I don't know why that would be, because if you had NOO, you would think they would also go STRP. Oh, and this one did STR. So that's one issue. It's like if you have STRP, which is what the current lingo is, it's STRP, not STR. But apparently, 75% of agents that are listing this are saying STR. So NOO, that's a good one. That's a good term that we want to use. And I'm looking at this right now. This is $200,000 for a one-bedroom, 500 square foot condo. That's really, really tiny, but honestly, the price on that's not horrible. Just a side note. Interesting. All right. So that gave us, a dozen different options. And notice that they're all in like downtown Nashville and in East Nashville. These are areas that you would want to do a short-term rental, and that they're going to be zoned in a way that works. Let me use Airbnb, and I'll show you why we don't want to use Airbnb as a search term. And it's because we'll see a lot of homes like this that are not going to be zoned in a way that you can use non-owner. What the agent is saying here is like, this is a great house. It has a basement, and you can put somebody in it as an Airbnb. So that might be the case. I don't know if I would want to stay there, but it's not going to be zoned in a way that you can actually do Airbnb as a non-owner occupant, right? That's going to be a problem. So you don't really want to use Airbnb. The term that I like the best, which seems to give me the most results, is actually the word eligible. For whatever reason, that gives me the most search results. And that's what I actually use on my website along with another one. And this is where we'll find, I think, it just depends on the day, properties that are zoned for Airbnb, and like this one says non-owner occupied short-term rental. Non-owner has a dash in between. So if you're saying non-owner without the dash, you're not going to find this property. So this agent in particular probably doesn't know how to really market this the best way. Sorry if you're watching this, but you would want to put in NOO space STRP or something that makes it really, really easy. I'm going to show you probably a good listing that puts all the terms in. This is probably how you want to do it. Let's check this $1.1 million property. So this has NOO, STRP, eligible. Yeah, that one's okay. If you're really wanting to list a property, you want to put in all the key terms. NOO, STRP, short-term rental, commercially zoned, MU zoning. These are all terms that help you find a short-term rental that's going to be eligible for a short-term rental. And I guess at the end of this video, if you're looking for more terms that that would be helpful to help you find a short-term rental, I can maybe put them in the description and to help you out. But yeah, this is. There's some right there. STRP, eligible, Airbnb, NOO, short-term rental. So once you've found a property that you want to look at and analyze, I think that's when you can get into using comps. There's a great website called airdna.co that will allow you to put in the basic information of a property and run some quick numbers. For example, I just found a condo, which is really typical in Nashville. You can find a condo or a hotel building that has been subdivided, and people are selling out just units within an old apartment complex, and they're selling them individually because the property is already zoned correctly. So great, I can just sell each one of these units to individual investors so that they can do Airbnb and they can make a ton of money. So this is in an apartment complex off of 30th Avenue, which is in the West End area. Really nice little complex. It's being completely managed by a one property management company that's doing all all of them. And I think the idea around that is so that every unit has the same ability to get rented, so it's more consistent for all their investors. At least that's what they say. But anyway, so we're looking at 210 30th Avenue. It's a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. It's on the higher end. These units sell for $500,000 plus. It's almost October 2022. The market is calming down a little bit as interest rates go up. Prices are stabilizing and even going down a little bit. You can see that there was a price cut at the beginning of September. This 485 price is still well within the comparables of what you would see in the area. It's just now you have an opportunity to actually buy it. So once you've found a property that works, you can simply just find the address, look at the zip code, and go into AirDNA 37203 to give you an idea of what this property, and you can kind of dig into the analytics. If you don't have AirDNA, a really cheap way to kind of check out your properties is you can go to actually Raboo.com. This is how I first kind of looked into it. And you don't need an account to do this. You just have to go to Raboo.com, go to resources, and check out revenue calculator. And you can put in the address. And so this address over here is 210 30th Avenue North. I would not be surprised if this feature goes away and you'll have to pay for this. But for now, you don't have to pay for it, which is great. And this is it gives you a really quick summary of what you would expect in rents on this property. So around $2,000, and you can find comparables, and these comparables are going to be great. These are within the same exact building right in the same vicinity. So they're fairly good comps. And Raboo's taking these straight from Airbnb, which is also what AirDNA does as well. So in the end, you would look, okay, that's a $2,000 a month revenue for a $500,000 house. That's not as good as I was expecting. I would be hoping for more like $3,000 or $3,500 for that to make sense. But that's probably why it's been sitting on the market for 60, 90 days, 28 days. So that's some easy ways to find short-term rental eligible properties. But like I said, you do need to just work with a good agent that can help you confirm that the property is actually zoned appropriately for either owner-occupied or non-owner-occupied short-term rentals. And again, you can email STRP questions@nashville.gov to get a specific answer on the zoning of a particular property that you're interested in, or you can reach out to me at my website, dlgoodmanproperties.com, or you can shoot me an email at david@dlgoodmanproperties.com. Thanks for watching.